Lay. Sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Kane is in the building, nigga.
Alright, already the show goes on all night. Till the morning we dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when it comes to the show, what goes on.
Our literacy is learning and unlearning. This is something I feel that's especially important to our class because our class has been about learning and unlearning. Unlearning everything that we've learned in high school and college so far, you know, like knowledge through attrition rather than actual communication, which is, you know, something that we've been focusing on a lot. Collaboration, you know, as opposed to, you know, just learning things that don't actually get you anywhere. But today we've gone through Perkins Library and we've interviewed several people about their thoughts on 2 questions.
1 in the air for the people ain't here. 2 in the air for the father that's there. 3 in the air for the kids in the ghetto. 4 for the kids that don't want to be there. None for the niggas trying to hold him back. 5 in the air for the teacher not scared to tell.
So in a lot of my classes we have problem sets basically before the exam, and one thing that I've learned is that when you go out into the real world you don't really have that kind of practice before you have to make these decisions. So I would say that's one thing that we have to unlearn as we leave Duke.
Can you give a specific example, like of something, like of a situation that you won't have like practice with in the future?
Yeah. So I mean, like, think about if you're deciding whether to marry a girl. There's no problem set for that. There's no problem set that says this is the right thing to do. So it's those types of decisions that really are going to require you to think outside the box and not really apply what you learned in a school setting to real life.
Use your noodle.
The ability to bullshit and to get by with just like the bare minimum. I've kind of acquired an ability to do that thanks to the internet and Wikipedia and all those kinds of things.
Is this a function of, you think, the quality of teaching, or you think it's a function of how accessible things are on the internet?
So I definitely think that it has to do
Maybe both?
with technology. Well, maybe both, but I definitely know that it's due to technology. And then actually it correlates like with the quality of teaching, because if the teacher isn't teaching well, then students won't pay attention in lecture, won't care, just won't understand. So they're even more encouraged to go and use all the tools out there on the internet. And so it's obvious that technology and like stuff like the internet has made BSing much easier.
I'm a psych major, so lately I've been reading about personality psych.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we're learning and what we're tested on is like straight memorization of certain terms and learning which psychologist came up with that theory and, you know, when did he come up with that theory and how it applies. But what really is going to matter if you're working with a patient in a therapy session isn't what the term is or what we call that psychological process. It's really how can I help this person in understanding what caused that behavior rather than knowing all these terms. So we should really be reading case studies rather than reading straight from a textbook and learning about the history of certain theories. None of that's really relevant.
I think the experience of not really knowing how to go about solving a problem and sometimes being too scared or like not sure of the resources that you should go about using to get to that answer, like librarians or professors. I think that's a really valuable skill because you're not going to be coddled like you are in college in the real world. You're going to have to to struggle, and I think there's a lot to be learned in that process of having to go through that yourself.
So no matter what you've been through, no matter what you into, no matter what you see, when you look outside your window, brown grass or green grass, picket fence or...
Our main purpose in a college classroom is to achieve a grade that we'll obtain and we'll be happy with at the moment. But do we actually learn anything that'll help us in real life? Most of the time, no. We try to get an A, but then right afterwards we dump whatever we learned in that class out the window. It's things in the interaction with your classmates, or in the interaction with your professors, or in the interaction with your friends, where you learn things that are important, that'll help you in your future life.
Cell, and we can generate a input to the brain, but the same kind of